Okay guys, I'm going to do a little bit of a different screen recording today. I'm going to use my document camera here to help you understand a little bit about cell transport notes, sorry. So to start with, I wanted to let you know this is loaded in your Google Classroom, or it will be once this video is uploaded. And I wanted to just go through and highlight some of the important features of these notes. So first off, you need to know this. Some of this is a review. Some of this isn't, all of this is in your vocab from this week. You can print these notes out if you'd like, or just annotate them in the document that you've been given. So all cells have to have the movement of materials, not just in and out. Movement of materials doesn't stop. So all cells need to move materials in and out of the cell, not just proteins, but all of these things and some. So I'm going to highlight that. And then the one main thing that you need to understand is that there's two types of movement, and those two types of movement are active and passive transport. So active and passive transport are our two, and I'm going to write 1 and 2 under them, main types of movement. We'll talk about those in this particular video. The first one listed here is passive transport. So passive transport is what we will address first. All right, so passive is simply, as it states, no energy required. Passive means that you're going from an area of high to low concentration. So there's some key words that I'm going to box in here. High, whoops, that's a horrible box. High to low concentration. You're going with the flow, high to low concentration. This is normal movement of particles from high to low concentration. So passive, normal movements. Now, there's two main types of passive transport. There's osmosis, which is basically the diffusion of water. And then there's diffusion, which is the movement of particles from a high to low area. So the difference in these two is that osmosis is just the movement of water. Diffusion is the movement of anything, but all of this is from high to low. Okay, so that's really important to note. So we're still talking about passive. Passive means no, and I'm left-handed and my handwriting's atrocious, so y'all get used to that. No energy required. Oh Lord, it looks like a 2-year-old wrote it. So passive, no energy. High to low, meaning I'm going from a crowded room of 100 people to a less crowded room. That's a normal flow of things. There's two types of transport involved in passive transport, and that would be osmosis and diffusion. So we can label these A and B under passive transport. Osmosis is the one we see the most in our cells. Our cells shrink because water leaves them. They swell because water comes in. The type of transport, this type of transport does not require energy, as I put up here, no energy. And the energy we use in our cell is known as ATP. Okay, so that's why those 3 letters are again there. And then it gives you some examples. All right, the next type we see is active transport. Those are your 2 types again, active transport. And again, that is listed as 1 and 2 up here. So 1 was passive, 2 is active. And these are the opposites of one another. So now we have the movement of particles from an area of low to high concentration instead of high to low. So we're going to look at going against the gradient instead of going with. Now, I want you to imagine rubbing your dog or cat or whatever pets you have at home. So now let me just box in low to high. So now I'm going to swim upstream. I'm going to go against the flow. So I'm going to have to use some type of energy in order to get this process going. This is going against the gradient. So now I'm going to rub my cat or my dog from the tail to the head instead of head to tail. So you can feel that you're going against the flow of things. I'm going to swim upstream. If you've ever kayaked and you've tried to paddle upstream, you know that takes some energy. So this is where we require energy in a form of active transport. Okay, so active, the word active has the energy word there with it, so, or energy tied to it. So if I'm actively transporting, I'm requiring energy in order for this process to take place. So it requires energy, that is listed right there. So we'll box that in. Again, I know this is not how you annotate notes, I'm just marking the important stuff. We do not need to know about endo and exocytosis, so I'm going to mark those last few bullets out right there. So the main points here are passive, no energy, active, energy. Passive goes with the flow, active goes against the flow. Passive moves from high to low concentration, active moves from low to high concentration. In other words, if there was 100 people in your house and you came home and I said you have to go in, I would maybe have to force some of you to go in, okay? That's active transport. The natural flow of things would be to flow out the door because you would not want to go out. When trout swim upstream to spawn, they some of them die on the way upstream because they exert a lot of energy to get there because they're actively going against the flow to get that energy out there. Okay, the next page of the notes, there's some pretty important pictures here. The first one, again, is passive transport. So this was number 1 on our list when we were looking at numbering them. Passive transport, diffusion, osmosis. So right here, you look at how crowded these particles are in this picture. So right up here in this corner, this is a beaker. This is representing water. Up here in this corner, you have tons of particles right in here, all in this little crowd. That's not natural. They don't like to be that crowded. So what happens is over time, so this is time on this arrow. I hope you can see this color. It's kind of light. So over time, what happens is these particles spread out. That's diffusion. If you've ever sprayed perfume, cologne, wore deodorant, whatever, it spreads. That smell, popcorn, burnt popcorn at school, whatever, that smell diffuses through the air. That's passive, high to low concentration. All right, osmosis looks a little different, looks really confusing. I promise you it's not. It is this. It just involves water moving through a membrane, diffusing through a membrane. The membrane is your cell membrane, okay? So the difference here is that we have some water diffusing through a membrane. So water through a membrane. That's the main difference in osmosis and diffusion. So when you have, and we're going to, I know this is the first time you're seeing this, some of you, it's a passive form of transport, so we're going to talk about it more, not in this video, but in the next one. So osmosis is going to be the movement. You've got, if your cells are placed in salt water, like this example here, and it's telling you salt water here, they're going to shrink. If you place them in distilled water, they're going to swell. So salt water, arrow goes here. Distilled water, arrow goes here. Distilled water is like with all the ions and everything removed. This is normal. This is a normal red blood cell. All right, but anytime you place salt water on anything, it's going to shrink it up. You place distilled water on something, it's going to swell. These are all no energy. Okay, so this is no energy for this stuff right here to take place. All right, your Google form information for extra credit for these notes. I'm not finished yet. I've got active transport. Today is my birthday. So that's what you're going to put in the Google form. Today is Miss Smith's birthday. Today is my birthday. So put that in the Google form when I send it out. That's your magic answer for the notes today for extra credit. I had 50 of you, which was a great number, answer last week's. I have not put grades in. I'm going to work on that in a few minutes. But today's magic answer for the notebook, the sale notes, is today is my birthday. Okay? True story, it is. So happy birthday to me. Okay, the next section is, the last section for the video today is active transport. And active transport is the second thing that was on the picture from, the page before this. And this is requiring energy, so I'll just put energy out to the side. We are not going to cover endo and exocytosis, that's just when cells get rid of and take in things. I just want you to look at the diagram. I've got two of these little blocks here. I've got a cell membrane. That's what these little things are, cell membrane. That's what your pictures should be looking like when you're drawing them. Actually, let's label that cell membrane. Okay, there's a cell membrane. So I got two dots. I got a cell membrane. I got this big bubble here. That's a protein that things can pass through. Well, I got a lot of stuff over here. A lot of protein, a lot of whatever this cell needs. But for some reason, this cell needs these two more things. So this guy is going to shoot through here and come to this side in an already crowded area, but not without the help of all this energy right here. This energy is going to zap into this protein, and my highlighter is not wanting to work, but that energy is going to zap into there, pull that protein, pull that box through here so that I can get that energy to the right-hand side. If this is the left, this is the right, so that I can get that protein over here to the right-hand side. Look, this is low concentration. This is a high concentration. What am I talking about? I'm talking about there's not many squares on this side. There's a lot of squares on this side. That's low, that's high. And I'm moving from an area where there's not many to an area where there's a whole lot. So that's what I'm talking about when I say low to high concentration. So we're moving particles from an area of low to high concentration, and that's active transport. Okay, so that's some of the information for this week. Cell transport's a little tricky, but that's where we're getting started with passive and active transport. Make sure you open the notes, make sure you look at them. These are some of the questions you'll see on your quiz, along with some of the cell organelles. Make sure you're doing your vocab, make sure you're getting your drawing done. And I hope are having a great week so far. We will Zoom tomorrow, where we will be drawing some pictures of this stuff as well. So we'll talk to you tomorrow. I hope you have a great day.